that Solomon guy have like 1,000,000 wives? And I know Jesus, I think, condemned that, or there was the one guy that married like the old woman and then had like Cain and Abel, I think. Whatever.
That old guy that married and had Cain and Abel was Adam. Adam as in Adam and Eve. Alright, so there's a popular YouTuber that goes by Pearly Things who's been popping up a lot lately, most notably after her interview with Andrew Tate. With about 1.5 million subscribers, she's probably the most known female in the red pill community that tries to expose the truth about men and women dynamics in relationships, but she definitely caters to men.
And that he wants to go to the bar with his buddies because you make that shit a hellhole. Because you are so unpleasant to be around.
So a recent video of hers popped up in my feed that was discussing her problems with religion and Christianity. So I watched the video, and her criticisms of religion are, I'll just have to show you. So let's go ahead and start the clip.
Today, I pissed off the religious people. Now, before I start, I want to give a background on my stance on religion, okay? Now, I grew up Catholic. I did 12 years of Catholic school. And I think...
To summarize her intro, she basically says that she was raised Catholic and went to Catholic school for 12 years, and then she started going to a Christian church, but she stopped going to that church ever since she moved to England for her podcast, since the podcasts are recorded on Saturday nights and she has a hard time getting up on Sunday mornings. So after she explains that, she starts getting into her complaints about religious people. Take a listen.
Most of my life, I did go to church, but the last couple years... some things in the religion just kind of off-put me, and I couldn't figure out what. I couldn't figure out, like, what was off-putting to me. I was watching this YouTube video, and there was a pastor on there, okay? And there was this pastor, and he was talking about how he's like, and they come off so weird. Like, he's like, I would never work with someone that cheats on his wife. I don't surround myself with people like that. I don't think cheating is good. But I think a lot of times we demonize men who cheat as if they're so evil and awful. And we don't talk about how even Christian women have social media, which is attention seeking. Even if you're not like posting like thirst traps and whatever, like it's a bit hypocritical of the women to say, oh, cheating is the worst thing ever when they have open Instagram accounts. And we could say, well, what if her butt's not on it? Well, her face is still on it.
Wait, what?
And, you know, I mean, that's still in a way attention seek, you know. And again, this isn't to like put them down, but it's more to show the double, like the hypocrisy, right?
All right, let's pause right there. So her argument seems to be that it's hypocritical for, I guess, religious people to say that they won't work for women who cheat, but are at the same time okay with women who are seeking attention by posting their faces on Instagram. And she clarified, she's not referring to thirst traps or them posting their bodies. Instead, she's talking about just their faces. All right, so now this doesn't sound like a very clear argument to me. So it's possible that she's leaving out things by mistake, but just going off of what she said, my first thought is that is not hypocritical because attention seeking isn't the same thing as cheating. It's possible to seek attention from people who you aren't sexually attracted to for a number of reasons. For example, straight men might want to seek attention from other men for social reasons or job opportunities or whatever. So the point is, just posting your face on social media isn't always about seeking attention or sexual attention from the opposite sex. Although some Christians do act like hypocrites sometimes, I don't see how this is one of those times.
My issue was when he was saying, like, it's like we act like the men that cheat are so horrible and it can't happen, and we don't act like the women who have open Instagrams, and like I'll see it on Twitter, like the trad wives, and I don't even, again, I'm not even trying to demonize them because I also have social media, but it's like they'll say, oh, the men are so horrible for cheating, but I'm like, Diane, you don't have to have your face on social media. You could take off your face and still tweet comments, and like you don't have to have your face at all on it. Like there's people that build followings with no face.
She makes it sound as if the only possible reason why someone would show their face online was to attract the opposite sex, which obviously is not the case. I mean, is seeking sexual attention from men the only reason why Pearl posts herself online? If not, it proves her argument wrong. And if so, then that's just weird. Honestly, I find this argument so bizarre that it makes me wonder if I'm missing her point or something. Am I missing something? If so, just let me know down in the comments. Anyways, let's keep it moving.
But this pastor was saying that cheating is like the worst thing ever. I don't surround with men that cheat. Men that cheat like have horrible morals. And I'm thinking, okay, all right, this pastor got married in his 30s, all right? So he'll say things like, I'm a one-woman man, okay? But he got married at 32, okay? Guy one got married, let's say he got married at 18. But let's say in his 40-year marriage, he stepped out twice. Now, the man that got married at 32, let's say he's still, a quote-unquote one-woman type of man. Before he got married, he slept with one girl a year from the time he was 18. These are the women he's been involved with. These are the women cheaters been involved with. And you could argue that the cheater probably has to be more careful, and it's less women, because if he's going home to his wife every night. And so you see, it's like, so these guys will come in and act like they're on this moral high ground, when really they're kind of the same, just in a different way. And in a way, the cheater probably contributed to less degeneracy than he did.
Okay, first, cheating in a marriage is a big deal because it leads to the destruction of families, which Pearl has even said before that she thinks is a bad thing, the destruction of families. Cheating is actually one of the top two, if not the number one cause for divorce and breaking up of families, so she should care about its effects. We'll come back to the point about Christians acting holier than thou, but when it comes to the criticisms that she has for the pastor, here she seems to me to be completely missing the point of what the pastor might have been saying. Let's say that Pearl is right and this man has had 14 or more partners before he got married. Well, based off of what she said about the pastor, it sounds like he's just referring to his current state of being a one-woman man and probably wouldn't want to work with his older self either. But the issue seems to be more about trustworthiness and commitment than past sexual partners. When the pastor says that he doesn't want to work with men that cheat on their wives, he probably meant that he didn't want to work with them for the simple fact that if they aren't remorseful for what they've done, these are men who broke their most important promise to the person that's closest to them. He's just saying that he doesn't want to put a lot of trust and responsibility into someone who would willfully deceive their spouse without remorse or regret. But we're not done, because next she brings in the Bible in support of her arguments.
But didn't that Solomon guy have a million wives? And I know Jesus, I think, condemned that, or there was the one guy that married the old woman and then had Cain and Abel, I think. Whatever.
That old guy that married and had Cain and Abel was Adam. Adam as in Adam and Eve.
Now, I grew up Catholic. I did 12 years of Catholic school.
5 minutes later.
The old woman and then had Cain and Abel, I think. Whatever. But I know, and Jesus did say that was wrong, I think. Anyways, I'm sorry if I'm butchering this. The religious people get so heated that it's tough to have these convos, because if you get one part wrong, they're like, I'm sorry, I just asked questions.
Alright, so here, she actually does make a fair point. Christians and religious people often do get worked up to the point where non-believers sometimes are afraid to say anything in fear of getting a heated response that shuts down conversation. That's something that I think that we could all collectively work on when it comes to those who are genuinely seeking and asking questions.
But Jesus didn't come in and say, I won't do business with you. I won't work for you through you. Even though Solomon had all the concubines and stuff, he still was a great man and did a bunch of good. So to say I can't surround myself with these immoral men, when men do have a predisposition to do that type of stuff.
Alright, so when she refers to the pastor talking about working with people that cheat, I think it depends on the nature of the action and also the nature of the job. I mean, I'm sure that Pearl wouldn't hire a convicted thief and money launderer to be in charge of her finances. So in a similar way, this pastor is probably just saying that he doesn't want someone working at his church that would willfully deceive and cheat on their spouse without regret and remorse, and is even proud of it. Having high morals, especially when it comes to religion, is a good thing. Think how many times religious people get attacked for not being immoral enough. I mean, that's kind of what Pearl's complaint is, since she's considering this guy to be hypocritical.
Now, that's not saying it's okay. Please stop taking my words out of context. But It's more, my argument is I think we need to humanize people.
All right, so here I actually do agree with her on this point. We shouldn't be dehumanizing people based on the mistakes that they made, because they're people who are still made in the image of God, no matter what they've done wrong. But I also think that the same thing should be extended to women who have been devastated by finding out that their husband cheated on them as well. Their hurt also matters. So Pearl sees these complaints as problems that come from Christianity. But if anything, I see them as problems that come from a lack of Christianity. When she's talking about some Christians taking the moral high ground and acting self-righteous, she's right. Whether it's intended or not, we often do come across as people that think that they're better than other people or more deserving of salvation than other people that we don't think is living as more of a life as we think that we're living. But at the very heart of Christianity is the message of the gospel that says that we aren't saved by how good or how moral or how spiritual that we are. Instead, we're only saved by God's grace as a free and undeserved gift. So for the Christian that feels self-righteous or more deserving of salvation than anybody else, Christianity says that you aren't. In fact, you're no more qualified for heaven than the worst person on earth. We're all equally set apart from a perfect God and can only be saved by accepting his gift of salvation that came through what Jesus did on the cross. And secondly, when she claims that we need to humanize people that made mistakes against us, that all sounds nice and easy until we have something really, really big to forgive. When someone wrongs us in the worst way imaginable, we naturally start to magnify the ways that we're different than them, thinking that we would never do what they did, and this naturally leads to us dehumanizing them. So this is a problem, but Pearl's solution seems to be to just kind of downplay what they did and act like it's not that big of a deal. But the problem is, hurt feelings don't go away. They require justice or forgiveness in order for them to be resolved. But this is why I think that Christianity is more of the solution than the problem, because for those of us that are Christians, we have resources that can help us when it comes to this. We can still seek forgiveness and we can still forgive others. We can remember that Christ forgave us. We didn't deserve his forgiveness, and so we can extend that same forgiveness to others who might not deserve our forgiveness either. I talk about this in much greater depth in this video, so go ahead and click here to learn more. And the next time that someone thinks that getting rid of Christianity is the solution to these sorts of issues, what are you gonna say? What do you mean?